You. Check. Mic check. I think it's fine. Alright. So welcome back. Last week we did a nice collaboration with Vincent. Doing some musings on some design. I tried to highlight most of the things that are interesting, or that I thought were interesting enough, and I hope you check them out if you've got the time. But today we'll be continuing with doing some coding. I think we're specifically gonna end up, I think we're gonna be both in the back end and also on the front end to do some coding. So we'll be touching both Kotlin and Vue today, hopefully. If you've got any remarks, please shout them out in the chat. And speaking of which, let's have Nightbot call out our helpful links. So you can also check them out live on your PC. Let's refresh this page as well so that we get the updates. I think this is fine. Great. So we ended up in the screen where we are able to click on a challenge to mark it as completed by a competitor. But then eventually both Vincent and I said, well, maybe we need an actual screen to first add competitors to a competition so that we can select them while marking a challenge as done. So first thing that we need to do today is to allow a user to enter competitors for a competition in the competition detail screen. Let's see if I'm okay. So I've got no commits left. I mean pending. So if we go to the competition detail screen, there should now be something to add a competitor, which looks like that. So I think what we'll also need to do is do a run serve, and then before we actually do that, let's first start off the application, and before we do that even, let's start our Postgres Docker container, and then start our application. And when that's done, we can run our Vue app using the Vue CLI scripts. Nothing seems to be happening. Oh, there we go. We have some lint errors in competition detail. Okay, there we go. There we go. So if we go to the application, let's make it a little bigger. Right, so here we go. Competitor to add. Let's add snarf. Let's do add competitor. So this does something, maybe? Did we already add a competitor? Oh, yeah, I think that's the last thing we did. So that means that we have a table with competitors normally. And then if we check that out, there is now, I think snarf is being used quite a lot. There are competitors that don't have, so maybe let's add another competitor and then refresh this. It's a shortcut for this. Okay. Oh, there we go. With the total score of 0. Cool. So we've got it working already that we can actually add a competitor to a competition. Or I think this is finished then. It's weird that we didn't mark it as finished. Let's check out the rest of the issues maybe. Or actually the project. Because I do remember adding some issues. Navigating to a non-existing competition. Okay, that's a bug. This is also a nice improvement. Competition has a scoreboard listing the scores of all competitors. Okay, yeah. I don't think we have other things as issues then. Okay, next thing is to list all of the competitors of a competition to select from. So that would be in the screen. So when you click on this thing, so this should not be an input field, it should be a select. And then we could press submit. Alright. Ah yeah, maybe that's maybe a good idea to do first is to list the competitors here as well. Okay, let's do that first. So in the competition detail, we shall, underneath the challenges table, we should list something. All of the competitors, maybe. How do we do that? So it's an unordered list. Okay. And then it should look like this, sort of. Let's see. Okay. And then instead of styling them like this, maybe we should check for a viewify component that is able to list things in a nicer way, maybe. Let's see, lists. Yeah, sure. But this is just like a proper list. Nah. What the hell is a parallax? It looks fancy. Ratings, no. Spark lines. Nope. Tree view, no. Maybe it's in the groups. Huh. Yeah. Item groups. Here we go. Create a group of some selectable items out of any component. Yeah, this makes sense to have it as an item group, but can you also disable forces of value to always be selected? It'd be weird to be able to click on it. Ah, great. Cool. Let's see what this thing looks like. So they add a bunch of tags, and it looks like there's a card toolbar. Ah, here are the tags, and they just wrap them in a V item group and then v4 over something. Nice. So what I want to do then, I guess, is do this, then put them in a V item. Let's just try this out first and see how this gets rendered. Here we go. Yeah, why not? Can you check whether or not the item is the last one? Nope. Alright, let's just wrap this item group in a list of competitors then. So these would be all of the competitors, and then how do you call that thing? Is it like a key or something? Should you add the key and then be n, I guess. Ah no, this is just the number. So maybe, yeah, bind Weird that you only get to select the API and not. I don't know if I need to do this. But then this should be competitor name. And then I'll need competitors somewhere in here. So let's add those. It'll be fetched whenever my competition is fetched as well. So maybe so I think what I could do is do this. Since this thing doesn't return anything, the competition remains in. So let's do. Yeah. Maybe we should switch this into a sync await way of typing stuff. Hang on. So my competitors, they are an array of competitor initially set to empty. Competitor doesn't exist yet, so let's add that to our model somewhere maybe. I don't know why all of a sudden I want to do this, but let's just try and do it. So default interface of competitor. This thing has an ID, which is a string, and it has a name, which is a string. And then to do that properly, to be to not get complaints from my linter. So what this should look like is this $$ Axios get. Yeah, the other thing is I could also just pass along a list of competitors along with the competition object. I think maybe even my competition, doesn't it already have competitor? Yeah, already does. So maybe I should do that then. Okay, it's good, it's good. So this dot competitors, or it's actually on a competition already, right? So then what I need to do is don't do this, and instead I'll provide a get for competitor, which will return this competition. Competitors. There we go. Then we'll need to expand this, and now I think I shall say this is indeed a competition, and then we'll make a competition object maybe in here if that works. Export default interface of a competition, which has, I already forgot, didn't I I did. Okay, so it has a name, which is a string. It has a start date, which is a string, an end date, which is also a string, and then a list of competitors, which is an array of competitors. There we go. Competitors. Empty. What's your problem? ID is missing. Okay. I need to do that. So as competitor or something. Or maybe competitor. Let's rename this to competition. Oh no. Ah. That was probably the issue then. There we go. Won't need that. Okay. If I do that, will it be okay? I guess not. What? I think I did a boo-boo. Huh. Aha. Let's do that then. And I think the other thing I could have done is this. Yeah, okay. It seems a bit better. Okay, so these would be competitors. Page could be private. So that's these. Okay, so if I were to refresh my page now, snarf, Lionel. So it already works. Now the only thing I need to do is add a comma, right? And a space maybe. There we go. And then list them a little bit differently maybe. Can I do this? sure. Maybe you'd also want to remove a competitor or something, but we'll do that later, I guess. Yeah, let's do it later. I am actually unsure what this thing does, because I don't think it will refresh. It won't refresh the page, and then yeah. So we'll need to do some extra stuff here. So whenever this is returned, I shall. Yeah, I need to refresh it, or I could. Push this. It won't have an ID. So I think I do need to just refresh the page, right? Or refresh the competition. Well, that doesn't seem to work properly.
Leave him alone, Miss Elsa. You bad luck to him.
I'll need to extract. go. Right. Okay. Now what do I need to do? If I have the got the competition. I got this thing in mounted. I can call mounted, I think. Promise return from mounted is ignored. Is something returned then or what? Oh yeah. So the distance away is distal competition equals. Okay. Because if I then execute mounted, the competition.
Well, I came upon a spot that was simply the most beautiful spot I'd ever seen in my life.
Maybe we'll
And I said at that time, if I ever
extract
had
this
the
into refresh
power,
competition or something because
I would build a house there. I always wanted a house in the mountains. When I was a kid, I wanted a house in the mountains, and I said if I ever get the chance, I'll build a house in the mountains. And then it came, and I did, and I built it on the spot that to me was, as I said, the most beautiful spot I'd ever seen.
then call that instead of mounted. And then the other thing I need to do is a distal competitor name. Reset it. Alright, that looks better. Okay.
It was simply the most beautiful spot I'd ever seen in my life.
Okay. So now we've got a way to add competitors to a competition, list them as well. Nice. Let's actually see how it looks in mobile. If it's good enough. I think it is. Well, it is for now at least. Now we don't have a way to remove competitors though. Do we want to do that?
And it was away. It was away from things.
Do I want to do that? Ho ho. Another thing I could do now is make them disabled all the time, right? Disabled. What? Alright, I added the key and I should get 1 error less, or 2 errors less. Okay. The item should only contain a single element. What? And it doesn't? It's not talking about the comma, is it? Okay, I think it should be fine like this. I have absolutely no idea what the thing is. Maybe you need to wrap it in a P or something. Wrap. Was it Command J? That fixed it though, so what I'll need to do probably is do this a little bit better. And then not maybe put it in a P tag, but like in an EM or something, I don't know. Something like this, I don't know. Really bad at UI or UX. Meh. This works. Let's commit that. So what we did this time was added competitor list, or maybe like now showing competitor list of a competition in its detail. There we go. Let's push that as well. And then list competitors of a competition to select from. Well, I added the list of current competitors at least to our UI. I mean to our competition. But I can't select them yet, so this needs to be replaced with a selection somehow. So let's do that then. That would be in the challenge detail. Okay, I need to silence my... Holy shit.
I just like looked at this guy and he was like asleep, and I literally thought in my mind like
I expected
could
there to
literally
be
sit
a
here forever.
challenge detail.
That was probably like the best moment.
Ah, it's an incomplete challenge, of course. Okie dokie. Okay. Do we not have a challenge? Do we have a challenge model? ID name points description, ID name points description. So, oh yeah, okay, this is like an empty initializer. Okay. This is the input field right now, and now we need to replace this with a selector. How are the elections boring? Yeah, there's Belgian elections right now, and I went to vote, and I think they're boring. That's how I think elections are boring. Could be wrong though, could be wrong. How do you... where is the select? I think there's somewhere like form components or something, UI components. Form inputs and controls. Who'd you vote for? I think I voted green on EU. I voted... Jesus Christ, what did I vote for? I voted red for my province and blue for Belgium. If that makes any sense. So green, red, and blue. I would have voted Pirate Party, but they're not on there. What's this? An input? No, I need a select thing. This thing. Nope. This thing. Who did you vote for? Okay, this seems nice. Well, yeah, I did press some buttons. I also voted 2 females, females. Which thing do I like? Let's just do standard. Standard. Okay, I'll need this thing. That should be fine. NVA, yeah, they were very popular, I think. Let's do this, and then these should be... oh no. Now I do have the competition ID though. So I'll need a way to just get the competitors from a competition. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just go Axios get and then fetch the competition with this dot competition ID because it gets passed along. And then since I've got this thing, let's put it in an await, I guess. Fetch competitors or something, I don't know. Like that. Lamb's Blind will probably be huge this time around, really? Man. Let's go like that then. This is an array of competitors. Oh shit, which I... Oh, you can. Huh. That's weird. Ah yeah, because they're both exported and the import... Oh, very cool. Does that... those things. Great! Then what? This needs to be a sync. Then assign competitors. Great as well. Then where is that thing? Go like this. Competitor or something. This can go. Let's see how that results. Yeah, I'll need a transformation thing. Item prop maybe. Would be name, I think. Or maybe it's not item prop then. Foobar fizz. These are all items. And items look like this, they're just strings. Sheesh. That's not what I want. Item text, okay. Set property of items text value. And then item value, let's do just ID or something maybe. Oops. Item value, the ID. What is Kotlin exactly? Kotlin is a language that has high interoperability with Java, and I'll show you some. So you can see that I'm calling an API here to fetch a challenge apparently, and I've got different controllers, but let's go to the challenge controller, and this is what Kotlin looks like. So it looks quite a lot like Java. It is a object-oriented language as well, but it allows for more functional programming paradigms to be done. For example, all of the objects in Java, as you might know. So instead of a Java backend, you're using Kotlin. Yeah, which compiles to do the same thing, indeed. But Kotlin has very nice language features where it says explicitly that the return type can be a type or can be null, and then it forces you to deal with null. and then it's got some nice syntactical sugar to rewrite if object equals null, then else do something like this. You can use this type of syntax. So this is whenever it's not null, and this is whenever it is null. And I am still using the Spring framework indeed, but there are better things out there, or so I've heard, like Ktor or something. And yeah, this I need to discover myself as well. But I want to first get something working and like sort of ease myself into doing Kotlin. Because I don't want to get too distracted. .NET Core I am completely unfamiliar with, I'm really sorry. You mean the language feature of the Elvis operator is also on .NET Core maybe? If so, then I like it already. Where was I? Right, so here... I'll need to also make this sync. And then we could also rewrite this like that. And then await this stuff. Get rid of that. Wrap this in an await thing as well. Thanks for the follow, nerd. Oh yeah. How do we do the catch thing then? Interesting. Ah, okay, nice. And does .NET also force you to deal with null types? Because Java doesn't. Java is like, oh yeah, anything can be null, so you know, deal with it. There we go. So there's the competitors. And then what? Thanks also for the follow, Prototype. You have nullable. Okay, yeah. To make it explicit that it is nullable. Okay. At least you've got the option then. Java as optional, but optional isn't that fun to work with, usually. We were looking at the docs of the input thing. Let's look at a better example, maybe. Value, input value. Nah. Change selection appearance. It doesn't seem to be what I'm looking for. Maybe this is. Not really sure. What do these fruits look like? They're still just strings though. This might be it. Yeah, okay. So an object in the select here has both a state and an abbreviation field. And then what? Okay. Select, so that's the selected competitor in my case. Item text and item value. Okay, so they do seem to be just using the property names. I am gonna try and do this though. So add selected thing. So vModel should be selected competitor. And this thing. I'll replace with that thing. Okay, this is a competitor. Can we do that? Probably not. Has an ID of nothing and a name. Okay, they're updated, never queried. That's weird. Oh shit, that was the wrong shortcut. Let's see. Then let's provide a getter that just returns private competitors, just like that. Okay. Maybe I don't need to assign value because I want the complete object, right? Not just that thing. Hint. What does that hint thing do? Ah, this stuff. Okay. Don't need that. Persistent no return. Ah, this is something I probably need. The return object. Right. What does that thing do? Return object. Changes the selection. Ah, there we go. Ah, so you can both have the value of the ID and then also say that you need to return the complete object. Okay, cool. Let's see. Let's refresh it. No data. Makes me wonder if I. Bunch of errors. I might be getting. Oh, wait, hang on. I think I know what I did wrong. Yeah, see, this returns the competition and not competitors. Yikes. So this is what I was assigning was the competition to the competitors instead of, so there goes my type safety. Still some errors. Is it still the same thing though? There's a bunch of stuff going wrong here. Oh. We've got a 500, so maybe there's something in my spring. Yikes. This just shut down somehow. Did I do that myself? Because I don't remember doing it in any case. So that makes sense that right, let's fetch that thing again. At least now I don't get a 500 anymore. To get a 404 when we try and get a challenge, that's weird. Let's clear this again. Ah, we don't have any competitors for now. Oh yeah, because I restarted. Okay. Let's add Snarf, Lionel. That should be okay. Oh, you can add an empty competitor. That's not good. That's not good. getting a lot of errors. Both name and ID we're getting. Let's try this then, because it will update the competitor list. Still same issue, I guess. We do get 3 items in there, which would have been Snarf Lino and then empty string. Kind of weird, huh? I wonder what we're getting back. So maybe what I can do is there's this view plugin that I'm using as well. Which I think if I were to refresh this page, it's gonna probably also show the network requests, right? Or not? Not a toolbar. I'll need content, complete challenge. Here's the form, here's a select. And then lots of properties on that select. The messages I don't need either. Kind of looking for the data on this thing. Ah, here we go. Okay, so it's got an object with the actual competitors, and they do have an ID and a name. That's kind of weird. I wonder why the name thing isn't working then. Or ID for that matter. Maybe let's get rid of this. Ugh. Alright. Even more stuff. Competition. TS. Apparently needs a new line. What? Ah, yeah. Somehow it doesn't recognize. Okay, one more thing. Same issue. So if you go back to competition, it should be written like that apparently. Alright, now let's go back to this thing and refresh the page and then notice that it's still not working. Yep. Balls! Let's see the items. It's kind of weird now. Oh, is it just a wrong property maybe? That's probably gonna be it. crash manually then? Nope. Huh. I thought you needed the dash whenever it's whenever it's capitalized. Oh, there you go. Fee select. Where's the fee selecting? Because it's still using text. Apparently, yeah, the property isn't updated. Ah, is it because I did the? Might just need to be this. If this doesn't work, there we go. Okay, there we go. Also, no more errors. Yay! Okay, so that's great. Then we can select snarf and then press this, which doesn't do anything because it's the submit is in comments. Okay. Let's get rid of that too. Maybe do optimize imports. Okay, nice. And then let's make a little commit. So what we're doing now is showing competitors as a select in completing challenge view. Yeah, sure. Let's push that as well. And then let's go back to my competition detail and disallow entering an empty competitor. So this is the add competitor. How are you gonna do that? Maybe you will only enable it once you've typed something, or pressing enter. Damn. Yeah, you guys can choose. So it's either just go and check, a little check if this competitor name was entered. Do this. Or what I could do is add this to the disabled thing. Disabled. So this would be false if it was not entered. Oh, you can still click it, that's not good. Ah, it's the opposite. Yeah. Are you building the API along the way, or did you design it up front? I am building the API along the way. But we're at a stage now where I've got a couple of API calls ready. Because we're not really adding new features. So whenever I am going, so if I go back to completing a challenge, there is a post here that says this person or this challenger or this competitor has completed the challenge that I'm on. So I can click on this thing, who completed the DALI challenge. I select Snarf, for example, and then I press submit. This call I haven't implemented yet, if I remember correctly. So that should be in the competition controller. And we actually started there the other day, 2 weeks ago on Sunday, I think, by having a complete challenge endpoint, but then we noticed that you can't really complete an endpoint without having a competitor that completed the challenge. So that was a bit of a mistake there. So last week, both Vincent and I, so I did a collaboration with a buddy of mine, and we noticed that, and then we started adding both the endpoint and then a view part to add competitors to a competition. And I think that's where we are now. I guess we've completed this part to be able to add a competitor to a competition. And then since we already have our competitors on a competition object, so I'll show you that as well. So if I go to competition, this thing has competitors, and since I'm using the same object to both persist and expose via my REST API, I can access my competitors. Now I know this is not very proper design, but that's also the goal of a security alert. It's also the goal of this side project. So I'm trying to prove to myself that I can incrementally go from a monolith or monolithic application to like a more strict DDD approach, let's say, to incrementally learn about the problem I'm facing. Because I had the feedback that I tend to over-design stuff and then build in too much quality. So what I'm trying to do now is verify, I guess, that I can go back from building code that is less qualitative, I guess, like less quality built in, and then maybe throw it out or refactor it into something more nice. And that's what I'm trying to do with this application that I'm building right now. It's okay if it doesn't make sense to you. Because I've heard other people also say like, well, that doesn't make any sense because using DDD allows for incrementally changing your code as you learn from it, from your model. But yeah, I need to be able to prove to myself that I can do it this way as well. Right, what did we do? So we are able to add a competitor from a competition detail, and then from a complete challenge view, I can now select the competitor that actually was able to finish it. And now I'm gonna add this part to it so I can submit that the selected competitor completed the challenge. And we were actually just in the competition detail to keep people from adding competitors when they didn't fill in anything. And we're gonna block it like this. So this way people need to enter at least something in the screen. So in here, before the button gets enabled. What are you using for data storage? Good question. I am right now just using a Postgres running in a Docker container, but it's not schema-less. So I'm still using just a relational database for storage, which doesn't really allow me to learn all that well, let's say. But it's a more real-life situation kind of thing, you know, like customers are still wary about, but what is this NoSQL thing? We've got an entire database team that knows Oracle inside and out. So we require you to use Oracle as persistence layer. Yeah. For eventual persisting, I tend to agree with you because NoSQL usually lies. Nothing is non-relational. You need to deal with it anyway. But when you're learning about your model, then NoSQL is very good for that because you just it's okay to not care about what it looks like in a database. As long as your objects are modeled properly, it's fine. Okay, let's make a little commit, because what did we do is we disabled the button when nothing was entered, and that's that, but it's a nice thing. So disabled, adding a competitor when nothing entered in text or in the input field. But bam, let's commit that as well. And then we'll go back to complete challenge and then see how we should implement this. So I still think it's gonna look like this. This is gonna be that. So the competitor, let's call it ID. And this was the selected competitor's ID, I guess. And then what? Then we want to navigate to the competition again, and then show a message saying that this selected competitor's name. There we go. So what we'll need to do is implement this call in the controller. So what we'll do is go to competition controller and call this thing complete challenge, I guess. I already know what it looks like, right? So the competition API is already getting hit because we're in the competition controller. And then it's gonna be a post mapping. With the competition ID. And then I forget already. Then complete and then challenge ID. Okay, cool. So like this. Challenge ID. Problem. It has that thing. Okie dokie. Let's add both of these to the signature. What? Make private. What the fuck? Oh, that's too bad. In Java, you get the suggestion to add a path variable. And then this thing is a competition ID, which is a string, I guess. Or maybe even a UUID, I think. And we can do the same with, let's do it like that. With the challenge ID. Oops. And then finally we'll need a what's it called again? The body, request body. Yeah. And our request body is a what was it again? Now, do we need an object for that? You could argue that you don't. let's do it anyway. So this is the maybe call it successful competitor or something. Competitor that completed the challenge. Damn, struggling with the name. Successful competitor? I've got no idea. How do you call this? Completer ID? Because it wraps. Oh shit. It wraps. So this completer ID thing looks like this, right? So completer ID has a competitor ID actually, which is a UUID. And then we need to do stuff. What do we want to return actually from this? So whenever something was completed, we could return an OK or something like that. I don't know. Let's figure it out while we are writing tests for that. So let's do. Oh, we can't do that actually. Let's return. Oh wait, you've got the to-do thing in Kotlin, right? To implement. Nice. Okay, now let's figure out if we're actually on the right track. That's right, I kept the tests that I wanted to write. So if you post something to API competition with a competition ID complete and then a challenge ID, it should return a 404 when no challenge was found. Yeah, makes sense. Huh? Let's actually fix all these with add test fun, because Kotlin is fun. There we go. And then these are all the tests that I need. Or that I figured out last time at least. Cool. So what we should do is do a post to API competition with a competition ID with a complete thing, and then a challenge ID. Challenge ID, I guess, and then with some content, and then the content should be the successful creator competitor, which is completer ID. Oh yeah, hang on, before we do that, let's actually move this to competition. No, why not? That's weird, I can't press enter anymore, or do anything. And I can't, okay, I can't press cancel. Okay, let's just do it like that then. Go back to the test class. No, this thing doesn't exist anymore, right? Import, and then give it a random UUID, I guess. Okay. And then we'll need two things here. Alright, a competition ID is I'll also need that, of course, but that's a different thing, different 404. So let's return a competition actually. Comp without challenges or something, I don't know. Introduce local variable. Olé. Man, my computer is lagging. Let's use that one. So I'll need a name. And the start date of locally now or something. Don't need to do that. There we go. And then this thing doesn't have any challenges because you need to call a challenge to that competition. Then, since I don't have that thing, okay, my expected error needs to be something like competition with ID blah has no challenge with ID given challenge ID. Something like this. Then given wait, hang on. I think this needs to it needs to be a string, that's fine. Same for the challenge ID. And here we'll just do random UUID, not do string or something. Because we don't really care all that much about it. That's fine. And then my completer ID doesn't yet know that it's a REST API exposed thing, which will get the JSON extension function. There we go. Okay, and then we expect status to be a 404 or what? Yeah, is not found. Yikes, I need to look that thing up again. Something like this, okay. There we go. Okay. We've got a noise test case. At least I think the correct controller should be hit. We're getting a 400. Why is that? Let's see if we are hitting the right thing. It's because of the to-do thing. Okay. Let's do this then. And watch it fail, baby. Because we're expecting a 404, and I think if it's getting hit, it'll return at 200 or 201. I forget what accepted is again. Oh. Ow. Let's rerun it and debug then, because I'm not sure now. Completer ID. Maybe it's yeah, no, it should be okay. Yeah, so it's not getting hit. What am I forgetting? Maybe something in the test setup. Let's see, it is a post, right? It's a post. With a competition ID and then a challenge ID. This I don't even need to do yet. Let's see if this thing is actually working, then I think it should be API with a competition and a competition ID. Competition ID. Seems legit. Competition ID. Complete. And then a challenge ID. And that's this thing. Somehow a controller method is not being hit. That's kind of weird, isn't it? What am I missing here, folks? Help me out. Maybe it's because these are... yeah, of course, this is not an UUID. They're both just strings. This could be a UUID, though. That's probably the case. But competition ID is a string. Yeah, I wish I had a little bit better type safety in my controller methods. But then I'd have to write converters for my custom types. And that's a little bit too much effort for me. Okay, here we go. So now we know that it's being hit because we're getting 202, which is the accepted status. Cool, now let's make it work. Let's make it work. This can go, and then yeah, we can do this already, I guess. You know what? Let's copy the test from above here. To also go off when we're trying to add or when we're trying to complete a competition. So that we complete with, oh, hang on. Be right back. Check, check, check. Alright, and we are back. Sorry for that. That was a high stress situation there for me. Because I forgot to turn off the notifications. It won't happen again, I hope. Maybe I'll need to write that stuff down on a post-it and so that I don't forget to add it. Or turn them off next time. Turn off notifications. There we go. Put them at the top of my screen. There we go. Now I hope I won't forget. In the meanwhile, I've also been multitasking a little bit. I implemented this bit of code. Well, we already had that, but I also finished the test, and the test is now also working. So whenever no competition was found, in this case, then we expect this error, and this is already working. And now I also added some code to actually also return a 404 whenever a challenge wasn't found. These tests do take a long ass time to run. Ugh. It's of course because of the entire Spring Boot setup that needs to be done. Okay, so still... okay, so it's just the error message that's wrong. Expected blah blah blah. Okay. So let's just copy the error message. This was competition ID and this is challenge ID. I think the toString happens automatically, but let's rerun the test to make sure. So then I've got the competition. And then I can say that, well, this competitor has completed the challenge. And now what we'll do is say competition.complete. Oh wait, so now I'm implementing again. Let's finish the tests first. So we did this already in another method. So that was the idea earlier. Like whenever you would type in a name that didn't exist yet in the competition's competitors, then it would add it, but it started doing way too much stuff, so we split up that functionality. Should add challenge score to given competitor's total score. This is something that we can do, and then should return a 400 when a competitor already finished the given challenge. Let's first do this one. Right, so then we'll need this setup, and I do agree that the setup is getting quite big, because now I need a competition that has a challenge. Add challenge. We'll need a new challenge for that. With an ID I don't really care about, but it has a name of Picasso, and then it's got some points of 3, sure. And it does need a description as well. Snarf, snarf. Okie dokie, so this now becomes a competition with challenges. and I'll need, oh damn it, I do need the ID. Let's move the toString over here. And then we can say that it's the given challenge ID. Okie dokie. Oh, there's a new scenario, I guess, where the competitor of the competition doesn't exist. There shouldn't be an error in this case. There also shouldn't be JSON. Should be should is accepted, and then my. Can I actually check that? Sure. I do have this one. And it should have. Oh, it should also have a competitor. Competitor with ID or where is that? Master this thing. So this is the competitor ID. Okay. Snarf has 0 points, and then find let's find the competitor with ID equal thing. The competitor ID. There we go. And then if this exists, fetch its total score, and then assert that is equal to what was it again? 0 plus 2, so it should be 3. And this should definitely fail. Seems that we also wrote code to award points to a competitor. Now it should fail for the right reason. Okay, that's already good. Now we can do the same thing again. So fetch competitors. Find completer IDs, ID, competitor ID. If it exists, to award points of okay, shit. Now I'll need to rewrite this to find as well. With the challenge ID. Then if this doesn't exist, throw the exception. If it does exist, award points to, well, with it, and then also the competitor ID, I guess. competitor ID. This thing doesn't exist yet, so let's create a member function. Award points with a challenge. Oh, hang on. Challenge, challenge, and a competitor ID, which is a yo-yo ID for now. What is a competitor ID again? It really is just a yo-yo ID. Okay, and then I'll also need the competition for this. Ugh, this is starting to look like crap. Competition. Alright, need to do that. What's the problem? Though. And then I'll need to do competition. All this stuff here actually. This is competitor ID. Then, if this exists, do award points with challenge points. There we go. Yeah, baby, side effect. Sorry. At least it will work, right? It does. It does with side effects. Now the other thing that I'm not doing is persisting it. So I need to once again persist, I think, the competition even. Because otherwise it wouldn't have, or at least I don't think, it wouldn't have updated the fact that my competitor now has more points. So let's do that. What would it look like if you inline this? Do we really want to do this? Where does the unit come from? I mean, why? Now it means two things. Yeah, this is horrible. Let's not do that, shall we? Let's not do that. The other thing I could do now is move code to competition, and then competition sure is starting to look like a god object. can look like this. Complete challenge ID and who completed it. Like that. And then that would do all of this crap. Thoughts? Concerns? Let me hear them. Yeah, the other thing is, I'm implicitly copying. I mean, if I were to follow the RESTful API design to my domain objects, I would also have a complete challenge method on my competition because I have a complete challenge method on my competition controller, much like I have here. So add challenges, add a challenge. What are your ideas here? Love to pick your brain. There's nothing that is holding me from doing it. Holding me back, I mean. At least I don't think so, because these are contained within exceptions. They're publicly accessible. So they could be thrown from a competition itself. I would feel a little bit more safe if I had a proper integration test as well. I could also change, yeah, it would give me way more confidence. Because then I don't have to check for side effects. I would just fetch the competition again and then assert that it's a competition with X amount of competitors, of which one of the competitors now has a higher score, basically. When a competitor already finished the given challenge, and that's another thing I could throw in that function. Let's first make it work. Okay, so same setup. I'm not ready for that. This implies a design change. Shit. Hang on. Hang on. Let's commit this. Let's first run all of the other tests and verify that we didn't break anything else. So now I ran all of these. All right, let's commit. What did we do? We added this intermediary object that contains a competitor's ID that completed a challenge. Wait, what's this? Oh, that's a space. Okay then. We added a new function on our controller that actually does complete a challenge for a competitor. And the way we do that is by just tallying the score. Yep. And then what's this thing? Oh, static import. Tests to verify the complete challenge behavior. Oh, and then actually calling the function as well. Oh. We haven't tested this stuff yet. So maybe before we commit, well, let's not commit to that. Let's not commit the UI part. Okay, so implemented completing a challenge. Okay. Commit. Let's push this. Now there's two things we can work on. It's either the UI, which we can work on, which we actually already have changed. So maybe let's complete that change already then. Let me verify that it works. We'll have to restart our application. Right. And then we'll sort of need to verify that whichever competitor what? Hang on. Competitors aren't being cleaned. So in our F8 application, I think, yeah. Yeah, we are manually deleting shit. So that means deleting a competition doesn't delete competitors, but we don't have a competitor repository, or do we? Ah, we do. This is interesting. So let's do that, and then also inject it. Privact. This is, you guessed it, a competitor repository. Yes. So then if we refresh this, then all competitors should be cleaned up. So the only thing that was left behind there was competitors without a competition don't get cleaned up, so we'll need to add orphan removal or something to, to the relation on competition. We restarted the app. Let's go back to the Snowcase competition then. Let's add Snarf and Lion-O, and then click on Allo Allo and say Snarf. So this is worth 3 points. We press submit. Congrats to Snarf on completing a challenge. And then if we check the database, there we see that Snarf has 3 points. Let's check if we do, which which has a high score. Snarf also completed the Playboy. Let's refresh. Yeah, okay. So we do tally the score. Great. And then let's make a little lethal commit. Manually clean up competitors when restarting the web app. We can now complete a challenge for a competitor via the UI. Opa. Okay. And then first let's write an integration test for that thing as well. Creating competitions. Nah. We want to complete challenges. Completing challenges. Competition at end. So what do we want to check? Well, that Snarf completes the wage challenge and gets awarded 4 points or something. Let's do Thundercats competition, sure. So creating a competition does the post thing. Then we'll need to add some challenges to that. Okay. Let's call it a wage challenge. Give it 4 points. And say wage. At any point during the day. Whinging. Then this is the wage challenge, I guess. I don't care about its location, do I? I might, because this contains the ID. Then create a competition. I also need this. I'm unsure what we get out of this one. A competition ID. Oh, this is the challenge ID, I think. Challenge ID. There we go. And then we need to complete challenge of the winch challenge ID, and then let's first follow that as well with first the competition ID, then the winch challenge ID, and then we also need to add competitor. We'll call him Snarf, and I'll need to add it to the competition ID. which will result in a snarf ID. This doesn't exist yet, so let's create that right away. So this is a competitor name. Competition ID, sure. It's gonna return a string. And what does it need to do? Well, we've got adding a competitor. Looks like this. And then we'll create a competitor, I guess. Adding a competitor. Oh yeah, okay. So let's create one. We'll give him competitor name. Here we go. And then I want, oh shit, it's just an accepted. Oh, it doesn't return the ID. Does it? Add competitor. We haven't verified that it got saved. Add competitor again. Because this also just returns accepted and not an actual ID, so filthy lies here with a create new challenge. Ah, nee. We separately create challenges, that's right. But a competitor always only makes sense within the context of a competition. That's the difference. So the way I get my snarf ID is by getting the competition, I guess. You know what? I could do that here as well, right? Don't I have something to get a retrieve competition? What? Result actions? Why? Ah, yeah. So let's do competitors. Let's do name, and then it should have item in array, the competitor name, and then and return. This is the response of the MVC result thing, and then from the MVC result we can fuck, how does that work again? There's one other thing I think I need to check. So in my competition controller, when adding a competitor, I do get this competitor thing. Oh, I just save it. Holy shit. So there is no ID assignment being done at all. It's just whenever this gets saved. So I can abuse this fact that this ID is in fact the competitor ID. And what I can do then is just simply return then I think I'll go, yeah, this should be done. And then also the ID has item in array. Now let's extract this one. Added competitor. Excuse. Ah yeah. .id, and then we'll just do added competitor.id. Oh, you bastard. Oh. Right. Maybe a UUID is fine. Yeah, no. To string. Okay. And then. Now I can do this. You know what, let's first verify that this adding a competitor also works. Challenges should get copied. This crap we don't need. Bam. Then creating a new competition remains. Adding challenges should remains. Creating a new challenge? I'm not really sure. Yeah, it should remain as well. However, yeah, no, correct. this is not gonna work because I need yeah, selected challenge. Oh, fuck. I've been modifying the wrong the wrong class here. That means that oh, or have I? No, I've been yeah, it's fine. Okay, here is the creating a competition where I need to be able to add a challenge. Where has that been used? Okay. Right, so with a create new competition. And then I can create one with select challenge. Huh. Let's extract these in scenarios actually, because otherwise this should not be a member. Okay, then we'll just create one. I could provide extension functions on my data classes to do all of the actions against the REST API. But I want the behavior separated from... Yeah, no, let's not do that. Whoops. Let's call them scenarios. And I want all of these private things into scenarios. Opa. And then let's not make them private anymore. Let's also inject a mock MVC here whenever we create one. I think it's this thing. I also need an object mapper. There we go. Then we can set up scenarios, where scenarios gets injected, and then I can turn all of these private functions into return scenario dot this with actually this E. Okay, that's a little bit more difficult apparently. Okay, and now we just get to fix all of these things. Okay. There we go. Okay, last one. Alright, and now I guess we could inline them all. The add challenges is not used, so that can just go like that. Okay, cool. Alright, and then we need the same setup in our own new test. Voila. And then all of that crap of adding a competitor and whatnot. Okay, well let's just do it manually again then. Oh shit, I haven't added that one yet. Okay, let's create it then, shall we? Okie dokie. Then, retrieving a competition, I think that does exist. This can be inlined if it would have been used. Let's inline this one already. This one gets a competition and a selected challenge apparently. None of this needs to be there. We can inline this. Adding a challenge, also not being used, which is kind of weird. Why is that not being used? I'll need to add this somewhere at some point. Okay. That's creating a competition, and then I want to add challenge. Which one? Well, the one I added above. a list of some challenges. Ah yeah, wait, now I actually, hang on, I can't do that. But then I think this should return the IDs of the challenges that got created or added to the competition. Or I could just fetch it again. Create a new challenge. Should be this one. Okay. Not being used. Right. So I want to add challenges to that competition, right? Crap, I think I need to do this actually. So I'll add some challenges, then I'll add a competitor as well. Well, let's actually fetch the competition. Get retrieve competition. Wait, what the actual? Okay. There we go. Competition ID. Let's fetch the new competition ID. And then I want to complete a challenge for a competition ID with. Oh yeah, so this is the challenges, I guess. What the fuck? Retrieve? It doesn't retrieve anything. Result actions, right. So, and return bomb. This will become get competition. Yes. And it should return a competition. There we go. And then we do retrieve competition with competition ID. We'll do and return. We'll get the response. We'll do content as string. And then this is a competition. That's JSON, I guess. And what we'll do then is we'll say object mapper read value from competition as Jason. And then I think what I can... Oh, good God. What is your problem? There we go. Just do that. Now we've got count competition implemented, and then we can say, give me the challenges. Find. With the name, I think. And then if you find this, then return its ID. Otherwise, just throw an exception. What kind of exception do we want? It's broken exception. Something, I don't know. Something like this. And then this is gonna be the winch challenge ID. And then we can create completing a challenge. Yeah, sure, nice. This is good. How do we do that? Well, we go back to the controller test and check where we do complete challenge. And this is what it should look like. Okay. That will be competition ID. This will be, let's call it just challenge ID. This is the competitor ID. I think we call this completer ID. Yeah, there we go. And it should take a, dang it. Then this needs to become a UUID. Which means that this is broken, which means that this return type should be a UUID. And then just do this. Okay, there we fixed it. Maybe, you know what we can do is make some type aliases for this. So I say that and then I don't do it. That's nice. Complete challenge. Does this thing need to do anything? I guess not. Snarf completes the winch challenge. Gets awarded 4 points. Great. Then what we could do now is fetch this competition once again. And And then verify that the updated Thundercats competitions competitors. Let's just do first or something. Total score. Is equal to the wage challenge points. There we go. All right, let's see if I run this test. Maybe I should have ran the other scenario test first. Cat competition doesn't work. That's weird. Okay. Oh no. There was a reason why I did that. I think it's because I couldn't do read value. Let's see if this test still works though. Yeah, it really does feel bad. Oh boy. I did forget why the read JSON doesn't work anymore. Okay, so at least that scenario test still works. Let's find out what's going on here. I bet it's this part. Here we go. This is why we use comments. It's a good idea. Did I log about it? Hey, thanks for the follow. Here we go. Exception I was getting during the creating competition scenario test operation is not supported for read-only connection collection. This would occur at runtime if we try to post a competition with challenges, which we never do. Huh. Wait, so I think I did change that the way it works, no? Operation is not supported for read-only collection. Well, let's find out, shall we? I couldn't even debug. Balls. Okay then. That's very strange. Right. Let's enter. We make a competitor, sure. And then what? Ah, okay. Is it accepted? Let's find out. It's not. Are you scared for a Black Sunday? Yes. Well, I sort of give a shit. I think Black Sunday is Vlaams Belang winning all the things. I've not been following it at all, but yeah, it's something that does scare me though. This is weird. Oh, no. That's weird though, right? Because it means that my controller test would also fail from adding a competitor. Add competitor. Should add given competitor to competitor. So this should be still working though. They are winning quite a lot, to be honest. At least I have seen so far is 10% increase. Good God, yeah. I guess we're gonna follow in America and France's footsteps. Or Germany, I think, as well. Like the right has been gaining all over the place. I mean, the extreme right. Fucking hell. What did I forget here? That's weird, right? Go back here. Let's check if we go to the competition controller itself. And then put a breakpoint right here to check if we can actually add a competitor, because we're actually, with this scenario test, also adding a competitor while we're checking if points can be awarded. Shit, I just ran the test. Damn it! Ah, you understand basically fuck all from this programming language. How do I make it easier? Is there a way to make it easier? It's basically Java, so if there's anything you don't understand, like this the weird question mark stuff, just let me know. I'll do my best and explain. You like struggling? Me too. Me too, actually. It's when you learn the most, huh? If you eventually discover what was going on in the first place. First need to get through that. But I'm confident we can manage. Famous last words, maybe? Alright, so I put a breakpoint in the controller, right? Yeah. Okay, so whenever I perform add competitor, I should be entering there. Nice. Now, what is this thing? This is not correct. So that's the problem. competition ID here in my scenario. This thing is a competition ID, I think. Yes. And then I'm passing it to add competitor, where it might get... Yeah. So here I need to string this thing. Oh, hang on. ID. Now it should work. 22%. Jongen. Are the results for Vlaams-Brabant already listed? At least it is working a little bit now. Expecting an array containing snarf. Yeah. But was... You know, maybe I'm hoping for fluke again. Like, I heard this Radiolab podcast the other day where the elections of 2003, I believe, there was a miscount in the votes in Schaarbeek. And it was digital back then, first time that we were voting digitally. And there was a miscount, and some person got like a bunch of votes, but she didn't. It was impossible for her to get that votes because there weren't even that many people that came to vote in that locket. And they did some backtracking and debugging and stuff, and eventually they decided like, yeah, some fluke happened. We don't know what. And then what they noticed was, in fact, that it could be explained by... Hang on, was it Radiolab? Cosmic rays? By a cosmic ray. So this story here by Radiolab. It even... Look at this. Back when we were voting like this. See, it was 2003. So a cosmic ray caused a bit to flip and give or assign votes to a certain party member that shouldn't have been getting that many votes. It's fucking insane. And I think they also do an experiment where they visualize cosmic rays. And you can reproduce this yourself. And this is what it looks like, basically. It's insane, right? So at every second, we are being bombarded by cosmic rays. Only in Belgium, actually, no. They go on to say that a lot of hardware is being like they need to specifically set up their hardware. For example, in airplanes where you have autopilot, the autopilot controls are regulated by 3 different parts that all basically do the same. So it only shuts off the autopilot when 2 of those components say that it's okay to shut it off. Otherwise it won't shut off. Because they got some incident where autopilot just turned off by a cosmic ray. And being higher in altitude gives you more chance to be impacted by cosmic rays even so. It's a very interesting podcast. You should definitely put that on. if you're interested. I also think that what's it called again? Radiolab always has like very interesting. They make their podcast sound really interesting and nice. Ah, suggest another way to fix my program. Yeetus deletus. Yes. You mean this? There we go. Fixed it. This is kind of weird. It's a very strange exception, right? I thought I had that thing before where I verified that challenges were there or something. Oh yeah, it's in the other scenario test. C has item in array. Which is just a string. And then in the scenarios, this is also just a string, I think. That's a string. That's a UUID. But it will get too stringed. Yeah, that's gonna help a lot. DDoSing Vlaams Belang. Yeah, it really boggles the mind. Maybe if I just check that ID works, let's see if that also produces the same error. Yeah, this one. Who does that, like DDoSing Vlaams Belang? What does it even do? I mean, yeah, the salty sauce. Same issue here. It's getting a JSON array instead of the actual thing. So it's not. It's comparing a list, or that's how the way I'm interpreting the messages. Oh no. Then this is also probably a wrong test. This is a false positive. Because it won't have this item in an array because it's an array that it's comparing to. God damn it. Balls. I hate that JSON path crap. I hate it so much. Maybe, you know what? I can replace this with get competition. And then perform verification differently. See where that gets me. Let's first check if I actually add challenges. So we never hit the get competition part, so let's first just try and perform that call. Maybe just in here then, I guess. And I expect it to actually fail here because this. There it is. Ah, hang on. No, this is something different. That's even something different completely. Because I fixed that in a different manner. Yeah, here we go again. Operation is not supported for read-only collection. So what's happening here is yeah. Ah, that's good. My vote mattered, I guess. The one problem Vlaams Belang could have is that they nicked all of the NVA voters and they can't get 50%. NVA couldn't get 50%. Ah, yeah. I wouldn't mind having Vlaams Belang win because at least half my teacher will probably get a depression. I don't know if that's a good thing for your teachers to get depressions. How does that work? Like, doesn't Vlaams Belang need a coalition? Because that happened in the past when they did the cordon sanitaire thing. Is it? Ah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think politics in Belgium are fucked as always. Or as everywhere, I guess. Yeah, so I actually don't understand. So this exception we get because I think Jackson is trying to modify the challenges field directly, which it shouldn't do. Ah, yeah, it's. Ah, yeah, because it's trying to do that from the string value, and then you can't do that. But then how does it work in when you import it in Spring? I mean, in your Spring controller, because that's the same thing is happening there. That I don't understand. I think I might be missing something stupid. Okay, let's check it out. Where is the read value thing? Ah. Can you pass along some stuff to this? Maybe if I deliberately say that it's a competition. Ah, yeah. If I do the Java class and then the Kotlin will return it into... Okay, maybe this will work. How important is this part? Well, if I don't have these tests, then I don't feel secure enough to modify stuff in my code, and I want to hang on. And I want to feel confident when I change code. I mean, I don't want to manually test my application every single time I touch a line of code, right? So operation is not supported, still same thing. We can work around it though. Still same issue. Yeah. So it's just doing checks and serialization. There's no spring that comes in between this stuff. Oh, that's kind of weird. Allee. So actually, you can also configure object mapper to so this is deserialization. Yay! That will be a black day indeed then. Accept empty array as null.
Does the body lie, moving like this? Are these touches, hairs,
No. Can override access modifiers. Yeah, that's not gonna help, I guess, because my list is an empty list, and then it doesn't allow adding. Ah! Oh, hang on. I think I might know what the problem is. Whew. Okay. G for Gradle. And yeah, open up the build.gradle file and then go here and then make sure that I've registered the checksum module Kotlin also for test implement. What the fuck is going on? So I also need this. Maybe I need to explicitly define this for test as well. What the shit is going on, dude? Import. I don't even consider myself to have a lot of patience, so yeah, thanks for the compliment, I guess. So I think that's the problem. That during test runtime, Jackson doesn't have the Kotlin module, so it doesn't know how to override collections. Yeah, I've learned to do it differently because if you Google it every time and copy paste it, you'll never learn anything. Okay, confidence. With confidence, we shall win this thing. So I still did some. You were going to do programming, but after this year you gave up and you're going for cybersecurity. And you don't need to know how to program in cybersecurity, or what do you learn in that specialization, I guess? Operation is not supported for read-only. Yeah, still same issue, man. Fucking hell. Here we go, the Google. Small scripts only, okay. Right. Let's do Jackson Kotlin based. Fail on null for primitives, that's not what I need. Not what I want. Also, not the same issue. Okay, what the fuck is this? Nope. This is just not the same issue I'm getting. Okay. 2011, Jesus. Okay, maybe this one then. Yeah, this is not a fix. I don't want it to be ignored. Empty set. Yeah. Yeah, but if you add the get ignore, then you also won't have the what is this thing? Or do you just set the inner to add ignore? I don't think that's the actual case. So if I go to my competition class, competition, so this thing needs the at ignore then. But challenges is a read-only collection because I provide a getter for it. See, so it's really complaining about, hey, I can't modify challenges, which is what I wanted, because I want you to only be able to add challenges through the add challenge method. Maybe I need to say that this is actually JSON setter for challenges or something. And then same for competitors, I guess.
Choose some field in which you operate at your best capacity and which will
Well,
then
maybe
serve
this will work.
as an influence
I get lost.
to deter all these other things that are, you know,
Okay.
learning that
Allez, hop.
like if I take care of the music as best I can with my truest belief. Right?
Yeah,
All these other
maybe the
things
setter
will be affected
works.
as I desire them to be affected as much as I can affect.
I mean the at setter. Okay. Not getting the exception anymore, so I am getting a 404, however. Ah. Oh, hang on, because now I can get rid of those filthy Jason path shit. If this actually works. So let's rewrite this by checking competitor. Oh, hang on. Competitors. Let's filter them on. What was it again? No, actually, any. Get rid of that. So any competitor there with an ID equal to added competitor.id. Oh, hang on. Now actually, no. I can assert. Yeah. Sure. That my competitors extracting. Jesus. Oh, yeah. Let's leave that. Extracting the ID contains only I don't know what ID is actually. UUID contains only added competitor ID. Okay, so that's this assertion rewritten. Oh. And then when we complete the challenge, this is the same actually. I should rewrite this with an assertion. Let's rerun it again to verify that it doesn't fail on the assertion I just wrote. Ah, I should have debugged it. Damn it. Because complete challenge now fails because it's not accepted. Oh, let's go back to complete controller then maybe. Competition controller. Where I complete a challenge. It is accepted, okay. At least the assertion works now. Okay, sweet. Okay. Then what we can do now is put the breakpoint somewhere in here, because apparently there's a 404 going on. Maybe I made the same mistake. But this should be an ID or something. Complete challenge with a competition ID. Yeah, indeed. Silly. Okay, Alrighty. And then I'm gonna rewrite this to just put an assertion on the competitors where I don't care about the ID. Ho ho ho, it works. Oh my god, and I got rid of the JSON path crap. Holy shit. That is great. So thanks for the inspiration. It hurts when I pee 101. Because you finally got me to get rid of that shitty code. The JSON path assertions. Okay, so I want to assert that in my competitors, if I say using, oh, I should do this, nice. Using element comparator, ignoring fields with, I think ID, I don't care about ID. It should contain exactly snarf where is snarf? Hey. Okay, okay. So let's create snarf, which is a competitor who has the name of snarf, capital S, and who has total score of 3. Okay, this should also work. So now I'm testing something extra, namely that there is only a single competitor in there called snarf. Oh, actually, you know what? I cannot even check that the ID is exactly the same because I have snarf ID, don't I? And then this can go. It doesn't work though. Ah, total score is 4. Why is that? Oh, because the challenge has 4 points. Okay, let's do this. Winch challenge dot points then. Yeah, same issue. Let's rerun it one last time. And then this should work. Hey. All right, let's run all of the tests. That was a long way. Then I think in the scenarios thing, there is still some JSON assertion crap. In the other scenario test. Because now I can call get competition, and then get competition can actually check that there are challenges present. Holy shit. You what, mate? What? Oh, yeah, okay. So good. It's a good thing I run all of the tests. So right now my tests are are not independent of each other. So when this scenario test runs first and then this scenario test runs, They both tried to create a competition called Thundercats competition, and that's what breaks it. That means I'll also have 2 challenges, or possibly have 2 challenges. Okay, so let's call this the 2019 or something. I don't know. I'll give it some other name. Dummy competition, Thundercats. I think I did the same there as well. Okay, rerun the test. Yeah, sure. And then the last thing we're gonna do here is rewrite this. Fuck. Competitions. Competition 1's challenge 1 ID should be different from the created challenge. Yeah, so now what I could do is I could write scenarios get competition. It's competition ID. I want the challenges apparently. And I want to assert that those challenges hang on. Yeah. Contains exactly and then a single challenge. Yeah, no, I want the ID to be different. So what I want to do here is I want to extract no, I don't need to do this. I want to extract the ID. And it should be a UUID. Yep. And I want there to be like does not contain actually. Does not contain. Created challenge location. Actually, let's do a toString on this thing. Then this needs to be string. Yeah, so this is the same test rewritten with assertions. Which one do you think is more readable? This one or this one? Christ. So all of the tests are green. Now let's run just this one. And then I think we can get rid of the retrieve competition in scenarios. Not quite sure. I mean, at least not make it public anymore. What? Yeah, indeed. Bam! Okay. This will also need to put in the captain's log. Oh boy. What date is today? 24th or something? 26th. Added Jason Setter to private props to fix operation is not supported for read-only collection. Since I want to encapsulate adding challenges or competitors to a competition, perspective. Well, relations, I guess. I provided getter functions. Well, actually, those are like the immutable. Jackson, however, is unable to use those, or well, actually thinks those getter functions. Needs to use those getter functions to set values, array values, when reading from a string. Fixed by adding setter, JSON setter, I think, to the private props. And then let's competition. Let's copy these both. By doing that, I was able to finally get rid of JSON path expressions in the scenario tests. Like this. Yay! Oh yeah, I can revert this because that really didn't change anything at all. So what I did here actually was added scenario test for completing a challenge, extracted scenarios. There we go. Allez. Hoppa. Push. Okay, so by writing that test, it actually proved to me that this entire completing a challenge does work. Also changes yeah, so that's good. So because I have that now, I can go back to this thing. Wait, no, this stuff. Call REST API to complete challenge. Check. REST API to complete a challenge given a competitor name. Also check. But now we've got one stinking little thing to do. Well, maybe actually two things. Not really sure what I should do next. So let's think about that for a little bit. When last week when I was working together with Vincent, we added like 4 test cases for marking a challenge as completed by a competitor. The last one that we added is this one, saying that whenever we try to complete a challenge and a competitor already had finished that given challenge, then we should return a 400, because that would be cheating, right? Because you can't complete a challenge twice. I mean, that's not a feature. It's definitely, or it should definitely be a bug. But how am I going to implement this, considering my competitor doesn't know which challenges it completed already? It only has a total score right now. And not which challenges that it completed already. Likewise, for the challenges, it doesn't know whether or not a competitor completed this challenge or not. So I remember in the discussions that I had with Vincent last week, I was like, yeah, but I want to keep it as simple as possible, but there's no way to implement this without keeping track of which challenge was completed by which competitor somehow. That discussion came up when we were implementing how to maintain the score of a competitor, because one way to do it is to just keep one field, total score, of a competitor, but another way would be to keep how many or which challenges that a competitor completed, and then always distill, or how do you call it, like, yeah, distill the end result, the total score, by just counting all of the points of the completed challenges of a competitor. So what we could do is now change this implementation from total score to just keeping the amount of challenges that it completed and their points. And then the other thing that we could do was what I said earlier, is all of these functions here, adding a challenges, adding a competitor, and awarding points even, are all public functions on a competition controller, also completing a challenge actually. This one should be private actually. Reduce visibility of so since there's like some kind of analogy between the controller, the competition controller, and the competition itself. For example, if you look at add competitor, it will end up calling add competitor on the competition. If you look at adding challenges, it will eventually call add challenge. Where is it? Found competition, add challenge. If you look at completing challenge, it will find a competition and then eventually, where is it? Yeah, it doesn't have a method complete challenge. That was the entire point. So this thing can actually go to a competition and just call competition complete challenge. And who completed the challenge? Well, it was completer ID, not competitor ID. And which challenge did he complete? Well, it was challenge ID that he completed. And then we've got the same signature, and we can move this over here. Now, if I were to do this first, or if I were to refactor, like, I mean, which one of these things do I do first? Do I first introduce this and refactor all of this into this method? Or do I rearrange how my competitor looks like? Because now it only has a total score and not which challenges that he completed. I think we should do the remodeling first before we try to do this, because remodeling competitor might have an impact on how this is done actually. I think I'm gonna do that first. And then before I do that, I am going to keep track of that. So for now, this is actually done. But I'm gonna edit this because it's not completely done up. So what I need to do now is redesign competitor to have a wait, hang on. Yeah, hang on. We'll do this as a new feature. Let's do cancel. I am going to mark this as done and then create a new issue. How do you do that? Mark it as here we go. Feature still has some issues. You can still mark the same challenge as completed twice. Close and comment. But this is going to be resolved. Different issue. There we go. Close and comment. And then it should be reflected here. There we go. Then we'll add a new issue. Yeah, I added some templates. So marking a challenge as completed for the same competitor when they already completed should not award points. Maybe we can just do that. Don't award points. Why this feature? Completing challenges is a one-time thing, and we don't want to encourage cheating. Actually, not encourage, but allow. Winky face. Tasks. Front end. I don't think any work needs to be done here. Backend for sure, but yeah, integration test for sure. Let's do that. And then this thing. Redesign competitor to have a list of completed challenges. Determine total score based on the completed challenges. That's it. Oh, let's add it to the project. And then already assign myself, so that is gonna be the feature that I'll be working on next week, because this is the end of tonight's or today's session, I think. We did some work, so that's good. Let's pull it in progress. Okay. So maybe let's go over our changes of today. The hell is this view? Let's see. Some commits, huh? So, yeah, we added showing competitors to a competition or of a competition. Then we also enabled selecting a competitor from the completing a challenge view. Then we also made sure that you're unable to add empty string competitors to a competition. Then completing a challenge via the REST API we did quite fast. And then manually clean up all the competitors when restarting was just like a small issue. Then we also finished that part where the UI is able to actually call that REST API. We finished that part. And then, holy shit, look at this. So this was like 40 minutes to build the REST API basically, which I think included a BRB phone call of like 15 minutes maybe. 4 minutes later, we had a running application. And then a minute later, we were able to do that from the UI. And then, then we took an hour and a half to add a freaking scenario test for doing that thing. That's fucking insane, isn't it? Oh boy. Yeah, and then this was just some musings. Okay, so today we basically added marking a challenge as completed by a competitor, and we found some lingering mistakes. Next time we fix this test, we add a scenario test, and we redesign competitor to have completed challenges instead of just a summed total score. And because we do that, we'll also need to change this implementation. All right. Cool, but we'll do that next time. All right. Hope you enjoyed watching and thinking along, and I hope that the Belgian election will be good for everyone in the end, or something. I don't know. Thanks for hanging out, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye. See ya.